Mr. Speaker, would you please call the House to order?
The House will come to order. All rise. In the absence of clergy, let us pause for a moment of silence. Visitors are invited to join the members in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag. A quorum being present, the clerk will read the Journal of Wednesday, March 30th. Ms. Peoples-Stokes.
Mr. Speaker, I move to dispense with further reading of the Journal of Wednesday, March 30th, and at the same stand approved.
Without objection, so ordered. Ms. Peoples-Stokes.
Thank you, sir. Happy Thursday. I said there are a few colleagues in the chamber, but it still is a happy Thursday. And I want to share a quote today, Mr. Speaker, prior to making members aware of our floor activity today from Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. She served as an American retired attorney and a politician. She was the first female associate Supreme Court justice to the United States. She served from 1981 until 2006. She was the first woman nominated and subsequently the first woman confirmed. Prior to O'Connor's tenure in the court, she was a judge and an elected official in Arizona, serving as the first female majority leader in the state Senate of the Republican leader in the Arizona Senate. Her words for us today, Mr. Speaker, very appropriate, I think. Slaying the dragon of delay is no sport for the short-winded. Again, this one is from Sandra Day O'Connor. Mr. Speaker, colleagues have on your desk a main calendar as well as a debate list. And we're going to begin our work today working off of that debate list. It's pretty extensive, but it's a lot of very important pieces of legislation that need to be discussed, deliberated, and hopefully approved, Mr. Speaker. So we're going to begin with calendar number 48 by Ms. Rosenthal, followed by calendar number 197 by Ms. Rock-Jamar, calendar number 211 by Ms. Galiff, calendar number 294 by Ms. Solages, calendar number 359 by Mr. Dinowitz, calendar number 385 by Ms. Rosenthal, and calendar number 264 by Mr. Zabrowski. We're going to go in that order, Mr. Speaker. If there are any additional needs for more floor activity, which there very well could be, I will be pleased to announce that at a later time. That is a general outline of where we're going today. Now would be a great time if you have housekeeping, sir.
And we do have a piece of housekeeping on a motion by Ms. Walker. Page 15, calendar number 145, bill number 4277. Amendments are received and adopted. We will go to page 9 on the calendar 48. Clerk will read.
Assembly number 766, calendar 48, Ms. Rosenthal, an act to amend the lien law.
Ms. Rosenthal, a explanation is requested. Thank you.
Okay, this bill relates to securing payment of wages for work already performed, creates a lien remedy for all employees, provides grounds for attachment, relates to procedures where employees are held, employers held liable for wage theft, and relates to rights of victims of wage theft to hold owners responsible.
Mr. Goodell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the sponsor yield?
Ms. Rosenthal, will you yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yield.
Thank you, Ms. Rosenthal. I know that this bill passed the Assembly in 2019 and was vetoed. Has there been any change in the language of the bill since it was vetoed?
No.
The governor, in vetoing it, noted several concerns. Since there's been no change, I assume that none of those concerns are addressed in this bill either, right?
It's a former governor, so yeah.
Now, for those of our colleagues who are catching up to us or haven't read it carefully, as I understand what this says is an employee who believes they haven't been paid in full could, within 6 years, file a claim against the employer. that claim would automatically create a preferential lien that would be superior to any mortgage lien or financing lien. So it'd be a priority lien, and that lien would apply upon the filing. And it would also impose personal liability on the top 10 shareholders. Is that correct?
It basically tracks the mechanics lien.
Well, although mechanics lien doesn't have personal liability on shareholders, and this would, correct?
Yes.
I see. Thank you. On the bill.
On the bill, Mr. Goodell.
Thank you. This bill was vetoed by the governor because it would undercut the ability of small and medium businesses to obtain any financing. If you think about it, there are only a few ways for a small or medium-sized business to obtain financing. One, of course, is they have private investors who buy shares of stock. And as you would expect, if you're a shareholder, only one shareholder by mathematical definition can be a majority shareholder, and all the rest of them are minority shareholders. And what this bill says is that even though you are a minority shareholder, if the company you invested in for some reason has a wage claim, you, as a minority shareholder, has potentially unlimited liability. And if we allow that to go into play, people are going to be extraordinarily reluctant to invest in businesses in New York State as a minority shareholder. And the second way most businesses get funding in order to buy equipment or expand operations is they'll often get funding by the equipment supplier. This is very common, for example, in the restaurant industry, where the equipment supplier files a uniform commercial code or a UCC lien on the equipment. And then if the business doesn't pay the purchase price on the installment sales agreement, then the company that's financing it bring back the equipment. This bill says that a claim by an employee for unpaid wages takes priority over that UCC lien, which means that if you're a supplier of equipment in New York, you would not be guaranteed that your lien has any value. And as a result, that source of financing will dry up for most small or medium businesses. Now, of course, the third way you get funding is you go to a bank and you borrow the money. And the bank lends you money on the condition that they have a lien on your building that you just bought using the bank's money, so that if something goes wrong, the bank can foreclose them once again. This says an employee lien takes priority over a bank lien, which eliminates the ability of a bank to lend with the assurance that its loan is secured. So then pulling out the ability of anyone in New York State to safely invest in businesses with a security interest that's reliable, this goes one step further. And what this says is we not only pull this out, but we allow that employee lien to take priority without any judicial determination as to the validity of the lien. And that lien can apply backwards 6 years. So you can have an employee who doesn't raise an issue at all, works for 5 years, they retire, and then, without any judicial review, can file a claim against the employer, and that claim eliminates the first lien position of everyone who's keeping the business open. Where this legislation is particularly damaging for all the small and medium-sized businesses in New York State. Where it's particularly damaging is the fact that in addition to pulling all your ability to get credit, in addition to allowing it goes backwards 6 years, is it particularly hurts small and medium businesses that are facing financial stress. So as we're coming out of COVID, many businesses were forced to seek a line of credit to use to pay their employees. And banks who may have had a long-term relationship with those companies were willing to give a line of credit secured by the assets. But of course, the businesses that are seeking that line of credit to pay their employees are the most likely ones to have an employee claim filed. And so what this does is it eliminates the very companies that need our help the most, it eliminates them from the market. This bill is perhaps one of the most dangerous bills we have ever seen on the floor of the Assembly in terms of its impact on the ability of New York State businesses to be able to obtain the funding needed to hire people and expand, which is why the governor correctly vetoed this bill after having virtually unanimous opposition from the Republicans, and I believe with some Democrats as well. And so once again, we recommend that this legislature not put a nail in the coffin of our small businesses that are struggling to recover from the pandemic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Montesano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the bill, please.
On the bill, sir.
Well, undoubtedly, there is a serious need to protect workers and make sure they get paid for the work they've done, and to kind of give them some kind of headway in fighting an employer who doesn't pay them or tries to, hide assets and so on and so forth. Now, a lawsuit has to begin for this lien to be placed. So one of the better choices would be is instead in place of what's being asked for in this bill, is for when they make the application for the lawsuit to bring it on by an order to show cause, which is an expedited way of bringing your lawsuit. And at that time, ask for either a restraining order on the funds of the employer, segregate an amount to be held, or to get a performance bond, or to place the amount of money that's being claimed in escrow with the court pending the resolution of the lawsuit. Those are the fairest ways where the employee is guaranteed their money should they win the lawsuit, because if it's being held by the clerk of the court in escrow, we know it's there. If a bond has been posted for the money by the employer, we know the money is there. Or if the court segregates some of the employer's money in another account and restrains it, the money is there. This other way that's being proposed in this bill is very draconian, and as was pointed out by my colleague a moment ago, all the bad things that would occur that could put someone out of business, and other employees could lose their job as well. For those reasons, I can't support this piece of legislation. I would support it if it made the provisions that I just recommended, but this one is too draconian for the workplace. So therefore, I'll be voting in the negative, and I would ask my colleagues to do the same.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Robb.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield?
Ms. Rosenthal, will you yield?
Yes.
Thank you. Just a quick question. I'm, looking at the veto message from a few years ago, and one of the concerns that was raised was basically regarding any judicial review or notice of the lien to the employer before it's filed. Has there been any changes with respect to that in this version of the bill?
No, there hasn't, and that gets to the crux of the problem. Because if an employer does not pay wages that owed to workers, if they get a notice, and this is what we found: people win in court. Then when they go to collect, the assets have disappeared. They've either been sold, the business has gone bankrupt, and it's impossible, even though the worker has prevailed in court, to collect their owed wages. So this putting a lien on without advance notice will preserve the assets.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, on the bill.
On the bill, sir.
Thank you. So, that was one of the issues that was raised in the veto message a few years ago about really having any judicial review before this employer's assets are entangled with this lien. And as my colleague said earlier, this could be a minority shareholder, and it is going to hurt the most to our smallest businesses who will have their assets entangled, and we're in a time, and if you read through some of the opposition that there's this bill, many of them make the point that here we are coming out of probably a period that has been as difficult for businesses as any we've experienced, and many of them still aren't back, anywhere near their pre-pandemic business, and this would be just another burden that we're putting on our businesses. Wage theft is an issue. We've done a number of different pieces of legislation in recent years to address it, but this is not an appropriate solution, and it's one that's going to just put another nail in the coffin of our business climate in New York State. So I'd urge my colleagues to vote in the negative. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Read the last section.
This act shall take effect on the 30th day.
This is a party vote. The clerk will record the vote on Assembly Print 766. This is a party vote. Any member who wishes to be recorded as an exception to the conference position is reminded to contact the majority or minority leader at the numbers previously provided. Mr. Goodell.
Thank you, sir. The Republican conference, as in the past, is generally opposed to this legislation, but those who wish to vote for it can certainly do so on the floor here in the Assembly. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Peoples-Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The majority conference is generally going to be in favor of this piece of legislation. However, there may be colleagues who would desire to be an exception. They should feel free to call the majority leader's office, and we'll ensure their vote is properly recorded. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Peoples-Stokes. Ms. Rosenthal to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To explain my vote, in 2010, we passed the historic Wage Theft Prevention Act, which represents some of the strongest worker protection legislation in the nation. Despite our strides, however, wage theft continues to be a tremendous problem here, particularly as unscrupulous employers find ever new and unique ways to avoid paying their employees their earned wages. A 2015 report by the Sweat Coalition, Securing Wages Earned Against Theft, revealed there were 62 unpaid judgments totaling more than $28 million owed to 284 workers in New York. We know that this is a deeply troubling problem. Most of the people who are affected by wage theft are minimum wage employees who are from vulnerable populations and do not have access to high-powered lawyers. Of course, going to this path is not, it's the worker's first choice. They will talk to the management, try to get their wages, and most employees actually want to continue working at the place where they were subject to wage theft. They are just owed the wages that they worked for. And we know during the pandemic, everyone suffered. Workers were heroic. Restaurant owners tried to stay open to serve the community. However, even during the pandemic, there are many reports of workers not being paid. And that's not how we do things in New York State. If your business model is predicated on not paying workers, that's a shaky business that you have there, and you ought to pay your workers for the work that they have done. This will be a good solution. It will serve as warning to unscrupulous employers that there's a lien waiting for them if they don't pay their workers. And with passage of this into law, I think workers will be in a much better position to be paid what they are owed by their employers. And for that reason, I vote in the affirmative.
Ms. Rosenthal in the affirmative. Mr. DiPietro to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay, thank you. As the ranker on the Small Business Committee, and I've dealt with this bill and I've talked to many constituents, business owners, this bill just goes above and beyond anything that we need. You would think by listening to the sponsor that there is no protection for these employees, or they need a high-powered attorney, and that's just not true. There are so many advocacy and advocate groups out there to help these employees because we have helped them in our office. But what I hear from the business owners on this bill is the frustration as they sit there and continually ask me, Dave, I thought you're here to help us. It doesn't look like the majority is trying to help any of us in business. We're the ones that always get suffer, that we always suffer. The terms I hear on this bill are socialist and communist. And it's a shame because we all know, we've just heard the ways to fix this bill. There are so many ways to make this palatable, but to ram it down our throats after it was vetoed and not even touch one issue on that veto is unconscionable, especially since we know that it hurts business owners. We know that they will suffer. And all that will do is close doors and put more people out of work, which in this state we cannot afford. I urge everyone to vote no on this. There are a lot of ways to fix this, get this back to a palatable solution. But this bill goes so far beyond the pale and hurts so many people that you can't sit there and say you're trying to help the small person if you vote for this bill. I'll be voting in the negative. I urge all of my colleagues to vote in the negative also. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir. Mr. DiPietro in the negative.
Mr. Speaker, if you could please record our colleagues, Ms. Williams and Mr. Sturkey, in the negative on this piece of legislation.
So noted. Thank you. Are there any other votes? Announce the result.
Ayes 94, noes 45.
The bill is passed. Page 21, calendar 197. Clerk will read.
Assembly Number 6041, Calendar 197, Ms. Raj Kumar, an act to amend the general business law.
Explanation is requested, Ms. Raj Kumar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a simple bill. It requires dealers of used motor vehicles to determine whether there are any recalls on a motor vehicle before selling it to a consumer. If the used motor vehicle dealer determines that there is, in fact, a manufacturer's recall on the vehicle, the dealer must put into motion the process of repairing the vehicle such that the recall is satisfied. The purpose of this bill is to protect consumers and the general public by ensuring that cars that could endanger lives and drivers are off the road. This would protect all New Yorkers from dangerous accidents on the road and save lives.
Mr. Raj.
Mr. Speaker, will the sponsor yield for a few
Ms.
questions?
Raj Kumar, will you yield?
Yes, of course.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you, and thank you for the explanation. So we have considered this bill in the past, and there have been some concerns from the dealer side raised with regard to this. So I want to start with just what what is necessary for them to do, since we know that dealers may accept cars as trade-ins and stuff like that, and it may even be a different car company's car than a particular dealer. So it says in the bill that they have to make a good faith effort to determine whether a manufacturer of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has issued any recall applicable to the vehicle. So what is meant by a good faith effort? What are we asking the dealers to do?
Okay, thank you. So your question seems to be, what are the obligations of a dealership
Correct.
to this bill? And the concern that I think that you seem to have is that it's unduly burdensome to the dealership. And I would say that it's not unduly burdensome to the dealership for two reasons. One is that the cost of repair belongs to the manufacturer, not to the dealership. So the dealership doesn't have to pay for the repairs. And the second thing is that the dealership just has to make a good faith effort to locate any recalls on the vehicle, and then make a good faith effort to initiate the process of repair. So the dealership could send the vehicle somewhere else for a repair, and that would be enough to satisfy the requirements, because the dealership has put into motion the process of the repair, and that itself is enough to satisfy the requirements of this bill.
Well, they would, I believe under the language, they would need to do that before they'd be permitted to sell the car to somebody else to initiate that process of the repair happening, correct?
Yes, this is all about notifying a prospective buyer of a recall on a car.
But in terms of, a car that has come into their possession, that good faith effort, what will satisfy that? Is it going onto a database and running the specific VIN number? Is it having a general understanding of a certain, make or model car? What satisfies that good faith effort on the part of the dealer?
That's exactly right. There is a database by the federal government, the National Highway Safety Traffic Administration, and they have an online database at safercar.gov. So the dealer just has to go on that website, type in the VIN number, which is the vehicle identification number, and then they can find out if there's a recall in the vehicle. And then they just have to let the prospective buyer know that there's a risk. This way to protect consumers, because the dealer is letting the consumer know, hey, there's a risk here. It's also gotten easier because now there's these devices that the dealership can use to scan the VIN barcode in the car and can get the information that way.
Okay. And So they go and now they discover there's some type of recall on a car. So at that point, right, it's not, okay, we need to make sure we notify somebody who may be interested in this car, or it's a affirmative, duty that recall has to be dealt with. It has to be repaired. And as you said, that may be, that's at the manufacturer level, but it has to be repaired before they can do anything with that vehicle in terms of selling it to somebody else, correct?
Yes, they have to initiate the process of repair before they can sell the vehicle. But they just have to initiate the process. They don't have to pay for the repairs.
Okay, so, but what do you mean by they have to initiate the process? So could they, have an interested buyer and say, hey, we've spoken to the manufacturer. This is covered under their recall. This is who you have to call. We're going to sell you the car, but this is where you have to go to get it fixed. My understanding of the language is they can't actually transfer it until the repair is done.
So my reading of this bill is that, yes, if they initiate that process, if they say, talk to this manufacturer, and that manufacturer is going to repair this vehicle, if they start that process, then that satisfies the requirements of this bill.
Thank you. And one other question that has been raised is regarding what situations this is applicable under. So I know it uses a definition of dealer, that comes from other sections of law. But what about, we know a lot of cars get transferred through like auctions and things like that. Would this apply to a situation where a car is being sold at auction?
Oh, okay. So general business law, section 198, defines dealer and used motor vehicle. Okay, so a dealer is anybody that is selling or offering 3 used cars in the past 12 months, and a used car is one that has 18,000 miles on it, or is 2 years from the date of its original delivery.
So then in an auction situation, assuming that, this isn't like a one-off auction, in a place that auctions cars would be required to comply with this?
So the general business law addresses one type of public auction, a regulated public utility which sells at public auction vehicles used in the ordinary course of its operations, provided that any advertisements of such sales conspicuously disclose the as-is nature of the sale. That is not included.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, on the bill.
On the bill, sir.
So, I do still have some concerns with this. So if we think about the situation, if anybody's ever, gone to a dealership and maybe traded in a car to get a different one, if a dealership is regularly dealing with whatever car manufacturers they normally sell, they may be familiar, right? They may know that there's, this certain make and model has had recalls on it that need to be addressed. But oftentimes they will take a car as a trade-in that may be from another manufacturer. And they aren't really in a position to necessarily know that. But on top of it, they aren't in a position to be able to make the repair. And what my concern is that this may make it less likely that a dealer is going to take a trade-in that is, of another car manufacturer that they don't normally deal with, because it's not just. I do think, in today's world, finding out about the recalls, It's probably not so complex. There are so many online databases and tools that we can utilize to do that. But once they learn of that, and now having to deal with another manufacturer to get the repairs initiated, I think is really what the problem is. And the vehicle is now going to sit there while this is being done, and anybody I think who's ever been in that type of situation with a car that you get notice of a recall. Like I know I recently got a notice that my car has a recall issue. I still haven't addressed it. I probably need to do that. But sometimes they identify a safety problem, but the solution is not yet identified. And the parts may not be available yet. So that could be a burdensome thing for a dealer to now have to just basically sit on that car because they can't sell it because the issue is not yet addressed. And like I said, could cause them to just be less likely to take used vehicles as a trade-in if they're concerned that they're not going to be able to sell them. I think safety recalls are obviously important for consumers to be aware of, but I think just making sure that the notice is there and that a consumer is well informed of a recall, I think is the better approach. Then they can make a decision that, hey, this is a major thing. Maybe it's not a major thing, but I want this car, and I'm going to go and and take care of the recall with the manufacturer. Which normally the manufacturer is going to be the one paying for the actual repair. But you're not even giving the consumer the option under this. You can't buy the car until the repair is initiated. So. For that reason, I'm going to be voting in the negative. I appreciate the sponsor for answering my questions, but I still have concerns with this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ms. Giglio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield?
Ms. Rajkumar, will you yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Good morning. Good morning. So is there a time frame as to how old the car is before the recall has to be made before it can be sold?
Not that I know of.
Okay, because in reading through the legal ads through the manufacturers, they say that usually after 10 years, a car being 10 years old or 18,000 miles, that the recall usually does not get performed because there are usually other things that are wrong with the car that may have led to a problem with the car not being recalled. So the fact that there's no time frame, that a car could be 20 years old and a recall may be 18 years old, the part may not be available, they may have to wait weeks to get the part or months to get the car part before they can actually sell the car. And the person may need the car right away to get to and from work. It may be a car that they've been looking for, a Honda Civic, for a couple of years, and finally they found one with low miles, 40,000 miles, but it's 15 years old. And trying to get that part for the recall that's 14 years old may be very difficult. So if that was in the bill, I could probably support it, that if it wasn't more than 10 years old. But the fact that there's no age of the car is a concern to me. So I understand why you're trying to do it, but the fact that there's no age of the car is concerning to me. So I'll be voting in the negative. But
Thank you. Well, I think it's interesting point. It's a cost-benefit analysis. So this bill aims to save lives. So yes, the dealership may be burdened slightly. They may have to wait until a part is available. It may take them longer to actually sell a car because of this bill. But because of this bill, consumers are protected and lives are saved on the road. So there's a cost-benefit analysis that has to be performed. And in my opinion, this bill actually saves money and saves lives.
thank you for answering my questions. So, Mr. Speaker, on the bill.
On the bill.
So if they're unable to get the part because they've already corrected the problem with the car and stopped manufacturing them that way, and the parts for the recall have all been dispersed to the cars before they made the correction, then I don't see, they may not even be able to get the part. So I think that there should be a time frame on it, and for that reason, I'll be voting in the negative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manklow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the sponsor yield for
Ms. Rajkumar?
Yes,
will
of
you
course.
yield? Ms. Rajkumar, yield, sir.
thank you, Assemblywoman. One of my first thoughts is because of COVID this year, or the last 2 years, I should say, a lot of our car dealers have not had new cars on the lots, and they have been bringing in cars from other states, from other areas, all used, of course. But when that happens, would the dealership receiving the car still have to make the changes?
Yes, even if a car is from out of state, the same requirements would still apply. The dealership would have to go through the process of making a good faith effort to see if there's any recall on this vehicle. And as I mentioned, that's a very easy process. There's a database set up by the federal government, and then they have to see if there's a recall and initiate a process of repair, if so.
So why would we not put the burden on the dealership that's selling the car prior to coming to New York?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part
I'm
of the
sorry.
question.
Why would we not make the dealership that is selling the vehicle to someone in New York or another dealership, why would we not put that cost and responsibility on them before it's shipped to New York?
Oh, you're asking why we wouldn't put the cost on someone out of state?
Yeah, why don't we do a bill that would
Right.
say any used vehicle coming into New York State,
Uh-huh.
this has to happen.
Right.
Well, why would we put that burden on our dealerships?
Right. Well, we're talking about the obligations of dealerships in our state, right, and what they're required to do to keep consumers safe.
So we want to make our dealerships spend more money to fix a problem or a recall because they live in New York. Is that right?
Oh well, like I said, the cost of repair is actually not on the dealership, but is on the manufacturer. So the good news is that this bill would not cost money in that sense. It may cause a delay in selling the vehicle because it imposes an extra obligation on the dealership. But in the cost benefit analysis, I believe that ultimately that will save our state money because it'll keep our roads safer and save lives.
So I believe my colleague had said this already this morning, but you just said that it will not be a cost to the dealership because that cost will be borne by the manufacturer. Is that correct?
Cost of repair, yes.
Okay. So if I'm borrowing $100,000 to buy 5 cars, I bring those cars to my dealership. Now I have to do the work to find out if there's a recall on that car. So right away I cannot sell any one of those 5 vehicles. I'm paying interest on that $100,000. Who covers that cost?
Yes, the dealership will have to incur some additional cost.
Okay.
Correct.
So I guess I misunderstood. You said earlier that there would be no cost to the dealership because the
No
manufacturers would cover
cost
that cost.
of repair. The cost of repair will be borne by the manufacturer. But it is possible that the dealership would incur additional costs if it takes them a little bit longer to sell the vehicle because of these requirements.
So why would we not put that burden on all the manufacturers they have the ability, and I know they track the vehicles by VIN number. When that recall comes up, why would we not have the manufacturers who are huge billion-trillion-dollar companies do this instead of making our dealerships here in New York do it, especially our small dealerships where we'll use the word mom and pop stores. You're familiar with that? Well, I know in my hometown, I have 2 car dealers that they may sell 6 or 8 cars in a whole year. They have 1 person working there. How would someone like that? Why would we put that burden on them? And by the way, they may not have the ability to check to find out that VIN number. Because as you know, in upstate New York and a lot of rural areas, we don't have good internet. So why would we put that burden on them again costing them more money and not doing it to the manufacturer or to the dealership that's actually selling them the car.
Well, thank you for laying that out. And you raise an interesting point. You talk about obligations of manufacturers. And so currently, in current law, manufacturers have to notify registered owners of vehicles about any recalls on those vehicles. So that's already current law. But what this bill aims to address is the cars that fall through the cracks. And those are the cars that are transferred or traded in to dealerships. And a manufacturer has no way of tracing the owners of those cars. So the problem is if we let those cars fall through the cracks, we have dangerous cars on the road. And so this bill aims to address that problem.
I believe the manufacturer can follow any car that they want. I know buying multiple John Deere tractors over the years, when I had bought a used one, I knew exactly where that came from, exactly where that dealership was from, and exactly knew all of the updates and the things that had to be done on that piece of equipment. And I'm pretty positive the car dealerships can do that as well. Just one question back to earlier my colleague had talked about auctions. And I know dealerships, when they take in a used car.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Okay, I knew you were talking, I just wanted to wait for you.
Yeah.
With our auction houses, I know there's multiple dealers, small dealers throughout New York State that buy a lot of vehicles from auctions. So when a dealership now takes in a used car, they may decide to sell it, put it online, or turn it over to the auction company to sell. Is the auction company then responsible prior to selling that vehicle in the auction, because they are a used dealership per se, because you have people coming and buying them? Is it going to be their responsibility before they can auction that vehicle off to make sure the recalls get done?
Right. So as I mentioned before, there's only one type of public option that's explicitly exempt from the requirements of this bill. Okay, but I think it's probably worthy for future regulations on this bill to consider what you're saying, which is what about auctions?
Okay. Madam Assemblywoman, I thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
And Mr. Speaker, on the bill.
On the bill, sir.
We all believe in the safety of people driving and riding in our vehicles, especially used vehicles. When you buy a used vehicle, you have warranties on those. You expect things to be done in a certain way. But here in New York, we're going to put that total responsibility now on a dealership that may not have the information on the vehicle. And I'm sorry that a recall is actually set out by the manufacturer. I believe it would be the right thing to do for the betterment of New York State. I don't have a problem with not selling that, but that cost should be borne by the manufacturer, as the sponsor said. But there's also the time lag, the money invested, and it actually does take time to make the phone calls and find out what needs to be done. Not everything is always online, but I know that manufacturers have that information. Again, I think we really need to look at this bill as being a bad bill, not from a public safety standpoint, but from a business standpoint. Again, in New York, again, we're going to put another layer of responsibility on a dealership. And I'm sorry, there are some dealerships, as I said earlier, that are small mom and pop dealers. Maybe one person or two persons, a family that actually do that. They don't have the abilities, where I believe these manufacturers should find that car, and until that car is destroyed and that title is gone, that car can be found through that VIN number. I just really want us to think about what we're doing again to our businesses here in New York, what we're requiring them to do. And I really think there's a little better way to do this. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the time. Madam Sponsor, I thank you for your time. And I will definitely not be supporting this because I believe there are better ways. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir. Ms. People-Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield for a question, please?
Ms. Rajkumar, will you yield? Sponsor yields.
Thank you, Mr. Rajkumar. So this piece of legislation is only regarding manufacturers' acknowledged need for repairs.
Yes, this is just creating a light obligation on dealers for cars that slip through the cracks. You know, that when manufacturers can't notify.
So manufacturers have determined that a car that they have sold to someone needs a repair, otherwise it could cause an accident and, quite frankly, injury to the person who purchased it.
Correct.
And because of that, they're willing to pay for the cost of that recall.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Could that include faulty brakes?
That includes faulty brakes, yes.
Could it include steering wheels that come off in the driver's hand?
Yes.
Could it include catching on fire?
Yes.
Could it include child safety seats that are not anchored properly?
Yes.
Could it include leakages of carbon monoxide while in motion?
Yes.
Thank you for your responses.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I find it hard to fathom that we want to defend someone selling a car, leasing a car, loaning a car to another person that's faulty. If the manufacturers are willing to be responsible for the repairs that are necessary and that are about safety and that are about protecting people, I don't see why the used car dealer would want to be responsible as well. Now, I know that particularly in some places in our state, people don't necessarily have a need for a car because they have very good public transportation. They can jump on a bus, they can jump on a subway, they can get an Uber or a Lyft, and they can get wherever they need to go. But there's some places in our state where people need to have access to a car. And very often, Mr. Speaker, those are used cars because they're the ones that they can afford. Somebody along the track of that used car should have the information about there needing to be a repair that the manufacturer has called for. If that happens, somebody should be responsible for making that happen. So I want to applaud the sponsor for putting this legislation forward because I see this as a huge consumer protection issue for people who need to use a used car to get to the job that's important for their quality of life. They should not be putting their life in jeopardy by driving a used car that somebody knows has a problem but wasn't willing to acknowledge that and let the person know that. So again, I want to commend the sponsor of this legislation. This is very consumer friendly.
Thank you, Ms. People-Stokes. Read the last section.
This act shall take effect on the 90th day.
Clerk will record the vote on Assembly Print 6041. This is a party vote. Any member who wishes to record it as an exception to the conference position is reminded to contact the majority or minority leader at the numbers previously provided. Mr. Goodell.
Thank you, sir. For the reasons mentioned by my colleagues, the Republican conference has generally opposed this legislation. Those who support are certainly encouraged to vote yes on the floor of the Assembly or contact the minority leader's office. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. People-Stokes.
Mr. Speaker, majority conference will generally be in favor of this consumer-friendly legislation. However, there may be some that choose to be an exception. You're certainly welcome to call the majority leader's office, and we'll be happy to make sure their vote is properly recorded. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Rajkumar to explain her vote.
Speaker. This is a simple bill with an important goal: to protect New York State motorists from driving unsafe cars. It would protect people like Michael Sharkey, who purchased a 2006 Chevy Cobalt with a faulty ignition switch. A week after purchasing it, he went on a fishing trip and died on the road, becoming one of 109 people killed in accidents caused by faulty ignition switches, a faulty part that also injured 200 others. By requiring used car dealers to make a good faith effort to determine if their vehicles have active recalls, this bill will save lives. It's good for consumers, it's good for drivers, it's good for public safety. I vote in the affirmative.
Ms. Rajkumar in the affirmative. Mr. Goodell.
Thank you, sir. Please record my colleague, Mr. Montesano, in the affirmative. Thank you.
So noted. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 101, noes 42.
The bill is passed. Page 22, calendar 21, clerk will read.
Assembly number 6458, calendar 211, Ms. Califf, an act to amend the general business law.
An explanation has been requested, Ms. Galen.
Well, this is a day that we're trying to help our consumers. This bill deals with rain checks, and I just want to give you a definition of a rain check. It's a promise or a commitment from a seller to a buyer that an item currently out of stock can be purchased at a later date for the current day's sale price. And our majority leader is not here, but there's a little bit of history around rain checks. So the term originated in baseball in the 1880s. The 1880s. Spectators who attended games that were postponed or canceled because of weather could receive a check to attend a future game. So that was the beginning of the rain check. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to speak to the majority leader later on. The issue is about protecting our consumers. So here we are, we're sitting home, we read an ad in the newspaper that says the refrigerators are going to go on sale at X store. And we're really excited about the refrigerators going on sale because we needed one. And so we go to the store, and we're very surprised that there were just a couple there, and we were too late, and they're not anywhere that we can buy. But the service agents tried to sell us some other kind of refrigerator that's more expensive, not on sale. It's not what we want. It's kind of like a bait and switch, so that they're getting you in the store to try to sell you something else. So we're trying to correct that. We're trying to tighten it up for our consumers and making sure that there are enough supplies on hand of whatever merchandise is going to be sold. And so it is changing the general business law, which has been done in other states and is actually done in New York City and in Westchester County. There may be some other places too in our state. So we are going to require that rain checks be granted to people that come into a store with that kind of problem. There are exceptions, and let me go over those if I could. One of the exceptions would be a mail order. Obviously, we sit home and we're not in a store, so it doesn't really matter because they'll tell you if the quantities or whatever. So it doesn't include mail order. It doesn't include one of a kind. Say you're doing a sculpture and you only have one and you advertise it as one. That's okay. All right. If you have a specific quantity, so the article in the paper says, I've got 30 refrigerators. Well, you know that you're going to have to get to the store as soon as you can to get that refrigerator that you really wanted. But there are only 30, and it says that very clearly in the article. You could also, one of the exemptions is that you can just say a rain check is not available in your advertisement. You know, I've got refrigerators to sell, but there's no rain check, and that's fine. But you can't then, within 120 days, have another sale of the same refrigerator that was on sale before. So, you know, you can do it, but you just can't keep having sales every other week for the same thing to get people in the store that you don't have the product for. And we had a debate on this. Last debate on this bill was 2010, and there was a question about food products, food and beverage are exempted from the rain checks because they actually come under the Federal Trade Commission and they have regulations there. So, you know, I think this is very helpful to our consumers. And I actually think it's very friendly to our businesses because they're really providing good service to our constituents. The rain checks would be for 60 days. Or 10 days if the supply doesn't come, whenever the supply comes in. Now, if the supply doesn't come in, then you know the businesses are not required to provide you know the merchandise at all. If there's no way to get the supply, and they prove that. So I hope that answers some of the questions.
Mr. Mickelman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield?
Ms. Califf, will you yield?
Certainly. Here's
Sponsor
my
yield,
back.
sir.
Thank you so very much. And I did enjoy the description of the baseball and the history behind a rain check. But I just have a few questions for you here today, if you don't mind. First and foremost, when we talk, so basically what this says is that if the product is not there, that the consumer can have a rain check, correct?
In some cases, unless they have advertised beforehand that they only have a certain number of quantities in the store, or they've advertised that they only have one, or it's not the food issue, or if they say that they don't provide rain checks and they're not going to have another sale on the same item within 120 days.
Right. But now the federal law already prohibits deceptive practices. So why is that law not already enough, and why do we need this law?
Well, I think the deceptive practices, and somebody can correct me. We do have actually with the Attorney General, we have deceptive practices. But that's whether it's working or not in our businesses, I don't know. But I know people have come to me. The reason I introduced this bill a while ago is people came to me with this problem. So obviously it's not working. And if we're doing something that's redundant, that's fine, because we're making sure that it is in the law to protect our consumers.
And we say now when it comes down to seasonal produce and food, this law does not apply to that?
Well, it does apply in the sense that, I mean, the food industry already has to do this. I didn't realize this. So if I go into the store and they've advertised cucumbers, and I go in and there are no cucumbers left, I can actually get a rain check from my supermarket. I really hadn't realized that. And go back and get cucumbers on a different day. They have to provide a rain check. It's a little bit different with the federal law. They don't have to be quite as specific as our law, but our law says, so they would, if they, they would come under ours. But it's no different than what they're doing now. They just have to add to the rain check that they give to the customer. It would have to be the name of the store, would have to be where the store is, and the phone number so the consumer can have a contact there and find out when the cucumbers are coming in, I guess. And then they also have to put down the quantity of the product, and cucumbers, 3 cucumbers, I don't know, I'm trying to make something up here. And then, they have 60 days in order to get the rain check. Now, if the product, if they're not producing the product, that's a totally different thing. But that comes under a federal law.
Well, let's take the cucumbers now for an example.
Yeah,
Since you mentioned cucumbers, so I go into the store. There's no more cucumbers there. They're 2 for $5, and they're not there. So now I get a rain check.
Mm-hmm.
So now in 60 days, they're supposed to provide me with the cucumbers at that price. What happens if there's something, let's say, within the world, and now there's a cucumber shortage, and the market for cucumbers have now gone up? Does the store still have to provide me with that same price?
I would assume that they do, because that was the advertisement at the time.
Okay, but there are
But
some
other people most people don't even know to ask. So.
Okay, but now there are some external circumstances that that store, unfortunately, might lose money for selling those cucumbers at that price.
Right. They will. If they don't have, maybe they should have had more quantity at the time that the people came in when they advertised it, that they should have had more quantity. It's like the refrigerator. If you have more quantity there, you're better off selling it right then and there for the sale price, because you've gotten somebody in the store.
To count the number of produce you have, let's say there's like tons of, supplies coming on in. I mean, they would have to sit there and then count it to know how many cucumbers they actually have.
Well, I think over time, probably stores kind of know what their quantity is that they sell. don't they? Because they know how much to put on their shelves. They don't want, especially with something, is fresh. They really have to get a sense of what they're offering. I think our food is less of a problem. We're really talking about hardcore merchandise. Whether it's your tractor that's on sale, whether it's your oven on sale. I mean, probably it's more the big items that people really look for those sales.
Okay, well,
Um,
let's now go back and talk. You have a big tractor or something that is going to be put on sale.
Mhm.
But now, would it encourage, let's say, the person selling it to not put the product on sale because they might say, okay, you know, now we've changed laws in the state of New York. I might not want to actually put a product on sale and sell it at a cheaper rate.
Do you want to get people in your store? If you want to get people in your store, you're going to have some sales, I think. Most people do that, don't they?
No,
I mean, I get a whole on the weekend, with supermarkets, I get sale stuff. And then I also get it from Home Depot, what's on sale. I mean, they're trying to get people to come into their store, and they think that they have sales that will get people. We just want to know that when you go into the store to buy something on sale, that there's going to be a product either there, or you get a rain check to get that product later on. And that's all we're really asking for here. It's just kind of a fairness to us who are the shoppers. And it also, it makes the store more honorable and a store that people want to go into because they know that they're good business people in that store. So, I don't know.
Well, thank you so very much. And on the bill, Mr. Speaker.
On the bill, sir.
I do believe that the intention is quite honorable here. However, when we try to regulate the marketplace in these certain conditions, I think it proposes a problem. And when we have a federal law that already prohibits deceptive practices, I think that does well in order to prohibit basically the people who are selling the items to the consumer for not taking advantage of that consumer, which is what we are trying to do here. And I also believe that this is going to also discourage not consumers, but people who are selling to consumers, the advertisers, from putting items on sale. So with that, I'm going to vote in the negative, and I encourage my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield?
Ms. Califf, will you yield?
Certainly, Mr. Lawler.
Thank you. So I think this is a very interesting bill and somewhat timely because we're currently dealing with issues of inflation. We're currently dealing with issues of the supply chains being impacted. And I think what we've all seen when you go to the supermarket, when you go to stores, heck, even in my hotel when I stay up here, they've had issues with food supply. You may order a product at a certain price. You put it on sale, as you said, to entice the shoppers to come in, but also to move the product, right? If the supply chain is impacted, if inflation is high as it is right now, if you go to reorder that product, it may be significantly higher, even within a short period of time. And I guess the question is, this is basic economics, supply and demand, and why are we trying to regulate the market in that way? If the product sells,
thank you.
If the product sells because it was put on sale and people come in and the product is gone, why are we basically mandating the business to go buy more product, which they could at a higher price and have to sell it at a reduced price, especially in this current climate that we're dealing with?
Actually, we're not, because in that case, they can advertise, I'm going to have 30 refrigerators. That's the quantity. All they have to do is advertise it. so that there's no rain check. Now, if in the case of not knowing whether they're going to be getting their product, they could just say there's no rain check. There's no rain check. And the way the bill is then they can't then advertise within 120 days that same advertisement and entice people to come in again. So there are ways for them not to do that. And even with the food, they just can say there are no rain checks. And so the business just has to do that. You can also, if I went in to buy the refrigerator and they had said there was a quantity issue and I got there too late, maybe as a consumer, I can talk to the people. Maybe we can arrange to be able to get it on that time. But that's an issue that you talk with the store about. Or if they gave me the rain check and it didn't come in, I, as the buyer, could also have the conversation. I mean, I don't know about you. I've been doing a lot of mail orders, and they tell me, well, it's not coming. Do you want it or you don't want it? I mean, there's conversation that goes on. Also, in the bill, there's on it's line 28. Line 28. There shall be an affirmative defense to an alleged violation of the section that the seller was unable to honor a rain check within the redemption period because such seller did not receive a reorder of the advertised article from a supplier through no fault of the seller, provided that they can show that they tried to get it, but
Right.
they couldn't. So that deals with the issue that we're all having with shipping and so on. So there's another ability.
But I guess where I'm really focused on is in this current climate that we're dealing with, which obviously we throughout the course of history go through periods of high inflation. This is the highest we've experienced in over 40 years. We've had economic recessions. The last major one being obviously in 2008 into through 2010. We're basically saying, though, that, okay, if you offer a product at a reduced rate to try and entice people into your store, which, putting aside the issue of deceptive business practice, you're trying to get people into your store. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And you're trying to sell product and you're trying to move product. So I have no problem with that. It's a basic concept of business. But we're saying, okay, regardless of inflation, regardless of supply chain issues that you may have, if you get the product and you had to pay more for it to get the product because inflationary costs went up in that time allotment, supply chain issues went up. And by the way, I'm not talking about a month difference. I'm talking about days and weeks, which is actually happening right now. The price of goods is going up significantly in a very short period of time because of the economic factors that we're dealing with. But you have to sell it at the price that you offered on a sale, regardless of what it may cost you. And I think that's problematic for a lot of businesses. And it really, to the point my colleague was making, I think it has the reverse effect. I think a lot of people are going to be very hesitant to offer sales and on certain product, and they're going to go, for like PC Richards, I get a lot of my electronics and refrigerators, appliances from there. They offer sales a lot. They have sales, for every holiday that we see. All of a sudden they're going to be restricted. You can't offer a sale for 120 days on this product. I just think we're getting way too in the weeds of trying to govern businesses and make it more burdensome for them to operate.
Well, we have done it in other states, and we do it in New York City, and we do it in Westchester County. I don't know about Rockland County. So we have a pattern that we've been able to have rain checks. I don't think anybody's suggested a big problem with it in our areas. But again, you can advertise and just say there are no rain checks. but then you're limited to a time period. Or you can advertise and you only have so many ovens to sell. I mean, that's all you
So
have.
can you say while supplies last? Would that cover your
Well,
concern?
it just kind of what it says in here. You've got to put down, the numbers that you have, and you probably know what your supplies are. You're doing the sale thing usually for that week. You know what you've got, right, in the warehouse or whatever.
I mean, I can tell you from talking to business owners. Let's look at cars, because this has been a major issue. Car dealerships have really struggled to get cars on their lots, in part because they've been stuck in the ports. And so a lot of car dealerships do not know what their supply is up until the day that it's being delivered. And so they may want to offer a sale. And as you well know, advertising doesn't just turn on with the flip of a switch. If you're mailing out advertising, if you're promoting it on television or in newspapers or on digital, it does take time to go through that. So sometimes there are legitimate, as we're seeing right now, supply issues and supply chain issues. And so I think this is just really creating a unintended consequence of restricting business in the state and commerce.
Well, you probably haven't gone to what is it, Richards? I'm sorry,
PC Richards.
PC Richards. You probably haven't gone there and not found the merchandise that was advertised. But if you had, you might not have that same feeling that you went in to get it and it wasn't there.
I have been to multiple stores where at times you go to look for a product that is advertised, and unfortunately the supply ran out. Now, yeah, I guess it's frustrating if you were looking for that supply, but the great thing about commerce today is that you can literally pull up your phone and try and find a equivalent product or the exact product you're looking for at another location, or order it online. So I think the idea that, somehow somebody shows up and their life was destroyed because they couldn't get the exact product at that exact moment. I mean, all of us are able to order stuff. I'm sure there's people sitting in this chamber right now looking on Amazon trying to order product. But all of us are able to order pretty much what we want at a moment's notice, which is far different than it was, say, 20 years ago.
Right.
So I just find this, I'm not sure how big this problem really is, that it requires a legislative solution. It seems like we're trying to find a solution in search of a problem.
Well, I've seen the problem, and that's why I introduced the bill. But, again, there are a lot of opportunities for businesses not to go forward with rain checks. There's a way for them not to do it. So that's up to them. The federal government has already dealt with this issue with our food areas. We're talking about merchandise, but not the food, basically, in this bill. And again, it's to support our consumers so that they're not taken advantage of. And businesses just have to be aware that when they're advertising products, that they have to have enough products available. Maybe it's not in the store, maybe they have it in the warehouse and they'll send it to you. That's fine. But that they have the products available for you. So,
and generally, I think when the product is available, if it's in the warehouse, you'll purchase it that day, and maybe it takes a day to be delivered, or you come back and pick it up. That's a totally separate issue, I think, versus totally not having the product because you ran out of the supply. I think as business owners, a lot of times, they'll order supply. They don't necessarily know that, this product is definitely going to move. Sometimes you overorder and you're stuck with all this product. And what are you supposed to do at that point? Can you return it? I mean, I think we're getting to a point where, so now we're trying to say, oh, you need to have all of this product to cover the demand. Sometimes there's not enough supply for it. And I think in this current climate that we're dealing with, that's part of the problem. There are supply chain
but then you have a few days. If you don't have enough supply, you've got a few days when you do the rain check. You got 120 days to be able to get the supply. So, you don't have to have it there, but you just have to enable people to be able to get it within 60 days. I'm sorry, 60 days. So,
Okay.
and if you can't get it in 60 days, you can work with the person that's purchasing to see if there's, I mean, you can show them that you can't get it. You've tried to get it, you know, and you hope to have it for them within a certain period of time and see if they still want to buy it.
Okay.
They may go some other place.
Thank you.
If they don't
On the
have
bill? So I think this is just another example of death by 1,000 cuts in New York State. And, you know, one regulation after the next that just makes it very difficult to own and operate a business in New York. And while this may seem like a major problem, apparently in Westchester County they have difficulty with rain checks. I do not think this is a major problem across the state. I think most people recognize that when there's a sale, you know, it's generally first come, first serve. And if you really want it that badly, you might want to get there on time and get the product. And if you can't get the product at the location, they have these great things called iPhones and smart devices and wonderful applications like Amazon where you can order pretty much any product you want anywhere in the world at any time, and it pretty much ends up at your house if you have a Prime membership the next day. So just the idea that in 2022 we can't allow business to operate in a way that is, you know, positive and lets them move their product, I just find it really alarming. And as one of my colleagues just texted me, there probably won't be any more Black Friday sales in New York and in other places if we do this type of legislation. So I just strongly encourage everyone, you know, maybe today can be the day where we give one to the business owners of the state and just reject this bill on its face. It might be a nice gift as we head into the budget votes. So with that, I vote no.
Mr. Jensen.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Will the sponsor yield for a few questions?
Ms.
Sure.
For you yield. The scale of yields.
Thank you very much. I don't want to belabor the point. I know we have a large debate list, but I feel like my colleagues, as they've asked questions, and your answers have only led to more questions about this bill. When you refer to the advertisement aspect of this legislation, if I'm a business and I'm Shmom Shmipo, no free ads, if I'm offering a large collection of things for sale, do I have to say no rain checks underneath every item I'm offering at a sale price? Or can you just do a blanket statement at the bottom of the advertisement saying that none of these items are eligible for rain check pricing?
I would assume so. Right?
Assume
If you're advertising them together. You're advertising together, right?
Well, if you're getting, you mentioned that you get an advertisement on the weekend from a home goods store, and they offer a lot of things for sale, like tractors and other household goods. Would they have to say it under each item, or just at the blanket, the 3-page insert?
I would assume, but it's clear and conspicuous. So clear and conspicuous. So I guess they could put it any place and say that the paint products will not be rain checked.
So just so they have to do it for each item in particular?
No, they just have to.
They have to say that all items in our store. So would they have to do it?
They could say all items in our store, no rain check, but then they can't sell them again. They're not going to do that.
So you can't sell anything for sale if you don't offer anything at a sale price. If you make it, you can't get a rain check on it?
If you're trying to get people into your store and you don't have enough products when they come into your store, then the question is, do you provide rain checks for any of those products? And if you decide the Home Depot doesn't want to provide any rain checks, then they put that in their brochures that are going out.
So then you can't offer a product for sale for a foreseeable time because you've decided you don't want to issue rain checks.
Right, because it's bait and switch. They're trying to get you into the store for a certain product, and they don't have enough quantity there. And then they're not willing to give you a rain check because you've come into the store for that particular item.
Yes, but if the item's been purchased already, you may have said, okay, traditionally we sell this number of refrigerators. We've ordered this number of refrigerators, but maybe it's early March, people have gotten tax returns. They say, you know what, we're going to spend some of this excess cash we have on home improvement products. Well, now you have 45 people wanting to buy a refrigerator at the Greater Westchester Home Depot. They're supposed to forecast people's buying habits when they're doing their order months in advance and when they're doing the advertisement that following week. It just feels like there's a lot of onus for items that are so discretionary in what people are going to purchase at any given moment.
Well, that's why it's so much better for them to say, this is our quantity that we have in the store. That's one way of doing it. Or to say that we'll give you a rain check, so then they can go out and get the product. I mean, this has a lot of leeway for the business owner to be able to decide, how they want to do it.
So, okay, so I'm going to switch to a food product. You go into your grocery store, they have not just one type of apple, they have a multitude of apples. And maybe they put a sale that, they have an excess of Pink Lady variety, so they put Pink Ladies for sale. Well, they go back, and now they only have Golden Delicious or Empire or any of the other amazing varieties. They have to offer, they can't put a Pink Lady apple on sale or any apple for sale ever again. Well, not ever again, but within 120 days. It just, I like to be a positive guy, but goodness gracious, this seems just...
Are they going to get them back in fairly soon? And so person gets a rain check and the supermarket is more under our Federal Trade Commission than it is under this bill. It's already been established. It was established in, I think, 1980 or something like that. So it's kind of covered for food. So we're not really dealing with that as much because it does come under federal regulation. But if they're going to get it in the next week, they just give you a rain check and say, when you come back next week, we're going to have them. If they can't grow them anymore because the season is over, that's a totally different issue.
Wait, so you mentioned that the last time this bill was debated was 2010, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Were you the sponsor of the legislation in 2010?
Yes.
So my question is, when you were drafting the bill then, or when you've been reintroducing it since, was there any thought to capping a dollar amount on the value of the item that is eligible for this? Because certainly refrigerators, that's a large expense that somebody has. And maybe that would make more sense to cover that you want to guarantee that you're not exploiting people to come in for a high value item and then trying to get them to buy other things while they're there. Was there any thought about capping a price range or anything of that nature?
No, we really hadn't thought about that. And, most of the sales are not for small items because that doesn't really get people.
But they do.
In the store.
Wegmans, they put out advertisements about things for sale. They may do a television ad. So in a television ad, do they have to, I should have asked this question earlier, do they have to do a little thing at the bottom of the screen saying these items are not for rain check on a television ad?
Well, I think we're dealing with print. I think we're just dealing with print.
Is it just...
No, can we look and see? I mean, I don't usually see those kind of ads on television.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to ask, I see they're looking at
that's
the bill
a pretty
now.
expensive ad.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that if you have to... I think that'd be a good thing to know if we're just talking about...
We can always amend it later on after it gets signed by the governor and say...
Well, we can amend it before we get signed by the governor, too.
Well,
That's always an option.
too.
Okay. So what if this bill goes into effect, becomes law, I get a 60-day rain check on a refrigerator, a tractor, a car, a Pink Lady apple, what have you. And within that 60 days, they get a reorder. Somebody calls me miraculously from the supermarket or Shmom Shmeepo, and I go back to get this reordered item. And because other people may have got the same rain check, it has been sold out again. Does that...
Well, no, because they have your name and number. They know
so they have
that you're coming back, yes.
So they have to reserve this item.
Yes, because you
that
come
you're
to
under
the
no
store.
legal obligation to purchase, correct?
You're not obligated to purchase it.
But they have to put it aside for you in
Right.
the off chance that you still want to purchase that.
Right.
But is there a limit to how long they have to hold it for you?
Well, then they hold it for you, but then after that, they could sell it at whatever price they want.
But how long?
You're not. It wasn't a
how
rain
long
check.
do they have to hold it for you? Till the expiration of the 60 days?
60 days. Within 60 days, you have to come. They have to get it for you.
So you have to order it. You have to keep it on site or in your warehouse.
Right.
For the length of time the rain check is eligible, and then after that, then they can decide to sell it for any price they choose to whomever they choose.
Right. Yeah, because it wasn't the individual. But I would think that if you wanted the refrigerator, you would get into the store pretty rapidly and get your product.
Unless you've already purchased another refrigerator, because if you're doing a home improvement project, maybe you don't want to wait. You get the rain check in case you don't find a better deal, or there's a quicker reorder. But a lot of people may not have the decency you may have and may ignore that phone call from Home Depot and may just say, well, I don't need the refrigerator. I'm not calling them back. So now you're telling the business, now they have to take up capital, they have to take up space under the assumption that maybe this consumer will come back and purchase something they're under no legal obligation to purchase.
Right. Well, they should be purchasing and just say, people do purchase things with, a sales price and they return it too. So things happen both ways. Not everybody sticks with the product.
So they'd have to order more product to cover the rain checks. But if people return the other products,
they only have to get enough products for the rain checks that they have advertised for that sale that day or that week, whenever the sale is.
Okay.
So if people come in, if they haven't but if they've advertised in the paper that we only have 30 and that's it, they don't have to do it. So the best bet for them would be to try to calculate how many people might come in to buy a product, which again, I assume in the business community, people determine, they may not be right on every one of them, but they have to determine what kind of supply that they need. We're just really concerned about the people who maybe do a big advertisement and have 5 products on hand. And so even though the store's only been open for an hour, none of these products are around. So when somebody goes to a store versus on a mail order, on our internet and so on, they're going to look at other things. The salesperson's going to say, well, I have this one over there. It's $200 more. And so, they kind of get you in the store. We're just trying to stop that. And, most businesses are good businesses and kind, but there's some that are just not. And don't respond. I mean, we've had this a little bit. We've had discussions about gift cards and things like that.
It's
kind of thing.
So, and Ms. Galiff, I respect your reasoning for this legislation, but if the vast majority of business owners are good, as per what you just said, but it's a small, very minute minority who are bad, well, why are we passing a law that would affect every business that sells consumer goods in New York State equally, not going after just the people who are nefariously exploiting consumers? It seems like it's a very large stretch.
I think we do this probably all the time in many, many different fields. We don't want anybody to be exploited in New York State.
No.
We do this. We think about this with childcare.
Well,
and making sure that our childcare facilities are licensed and we have the right teachers there, because there's some bad. So we have laws that try to protect people.
Well, and that's protecting people is important, but doesn't the consumer have the obligation to protect themselves by saying, you know what, they don't have this for sale. I don't want to buy. I don't want to spend more money than I intended to. I'm not going to purchase something. The consumer has all the choice in the world. The consumer decides what they do and do not purchase. So shouldn't the consumer kind of take some responsibility for protecting themselves in this regard?
I don't think sometimes I think a lot of the consumers would, if I went into a store, I would personally, because I know about rain checks, I would ask for a rain check.
Oh, my grandmother.
And whether they gave it or not, I mean, we want to be sure that people do if they're advertising. That's all.
I mean, the folks at Wegmans in Greece, New York, loved when they saw Edie and Thor Jensen coming through because they knew they had to get their rain check pad out. So people know about this, but I feel like it is just so far into the minutia of that we're taking the complete onus out of consumers to make an informed choice and putting it entirely on the business to have to. I mean, like Mr. Lawler said, death by 1,000 cuts. Now we're having to spend more time. We may have to order things we don't necessarily need. It just, I understand the intent, but goodness, it seems like tremendous overreach by New York State to mandate this on every single business that may want to sell something for
It's
sale.
not a mandate on the business if they want to go in a different direction.
If they want to advertise something for sale, it is.
No, it isn't, because they can advertise something for sale and they can put down the quantity, or they can just say there's no rain check.
Yes, but a mandate is now they're having to do things they weren't going to do before because the government is telling them they have to. I think this is a gross overreach. Maybe not gross, an overreach for sure.
Well, the
Thank you
Federal
very much,
Trade
Mr.
Commission
Speaker.
has done the same kind of thing with our food industry.
Mr. Jacobson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the bill?
On the bill, sir.
I want to thank the sponsor for putting this bill in. And I think some of our colleagues have to remember that the reason that there are sales, that stores have sales, are not only to move a product, but it's to get people in the store. And if they don't have enough of the product, the ad has done its purpose. It got them in the store. And if they don't have the exact television or other thing that's on sale, they're hoping that you will buy something else that's not on sale. So there's a reason that this is an important piece of legislation, because as the sponsor said, it's really a form of bait and switch. If it's unintentional, fine, get the product. But we have to remember that the reason that you have a sale is not only to sell that product, but to get that person in the store and they're hopeful that that person is going to buy other goods. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gandolfo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield for a quick couple of questions?
Certainly.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to clarify some of the points from my previous colleague. Now, with the notification requirement, so say the grocery store issues 100 rain checks for Pink Lady apples that Mr. Jensen likes so much. Now, when the Pink Lady apples comes in, do they have to notify each individual rain check holder within 15 days of the receipt of the merchandise?
They don't have to. We did have that in our earlier bill. We took it out.
Okay.
That they don't have to notify. The business doesn't have to notify. The customer has to kind of be in charge. So they will get the rain check, which will have the phone number, and they can call and find out whether the product has come in.
Okay.
So we took that onus away. We also, because there had been a question about food, so that's why we added that in here just to say it was the Federal Trade Commission and so on. So those were two changes that came out of the last debate.
Okay, understood. And if I understood correctly in the previous line of questioning, the retailer would have to hold on to the stock until the rain check, I guess, expired?
Yes, but you would assume, I mean, in most cases, if people want the product, they're going to come back to the store.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean the business couldn't call
Mm-hmm.
the rain check person and say, do you still want it? I mean, because that's what's been happening with me in deliveries because of delivery problems. You know, the LL Bean calls and says, or emails me and says, do you still want the product? We've had a problem. Do you still want the product? And then they'll call back again and again. So that doesn't preclude the business from doing what they want to,
Right.
especially if it's a big item.
And on that point, so if they do have to keep the stock of the item, what if they do make contact with the customer and the customer says, actually, I don't want this anymore? Would that then waive the requirement for them to hold on to that merchandise?
They wouldn't have to hold on to that because it was a rain check was with a specific person from
Okay.
a specific advertisement from a specific day and from a specific location.
Okay, so that would essentially void the rain check if there was a contact
Right.
made and the customer.
Right.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect on the 180th day.
The clerk will record the vote on A6458. This is a party vote. Any member who wishes to be recorded as an exception to the conference position is reminded to contact the majority or minority leader at the numbers previously provided. Mr. Goodell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Republican conference is generally opposed to this legislation. Those who support are certainly free to vote in favor of it here on the floor or by contacting the minority leader's office. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. People-Stokes.
Mr. Speaker, majority conference is generally going to be in favor of this legislation. However, there may be colleagues that would like to be an exception. They should feel free to contact the majority leader's office. Their vote will be properly recorded. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Godfrey to explain his vote.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, this is a bill aimed at a fairly common and long-standing and fundamentally dishonest business scam. Businesses that do this do it for the dishonest purpose of luring people into their store with an offer that they know they're not going to be able to meet. And this bill simply says, if you're not offering rain checks, say so in a little line on the bottom of your ad. Very simple to comply with. And yet, we've been hearing at great length that this is a nail in the coffin and an outrageous burden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I urge us all to remember this debate. Remember this debate so that when you hear things described as being another nail in the coffin and an outrageous burden, just remember that that kind of language gets used to apply to the simplest and least burdensome and easy to comply with proposition that simply asks businesses to deal with their customers with a small element of honesty. I vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Godfrey in the affirmative. Ms. People-Stokes to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to explain my vote. I am probably one of these consumers that will not accept a rain check if the business say that they have something at a certain price, and I arrive there and they don't have it. For me to take a rain check means I'm going to come back again, and you're probably going to try to sell me something else that I didn't really come to get. I want to commend the sponsor on this legislation. I understand the strategy behind these rain check thingies, so I don't accept them. Uh, if you can't give me the price that you said, the product for the price that you advertised it as, then you don't have it anymore. But for me to have to come back again just means you want to sell me something else. So I support this legislation, and I'm going to commend the sponsor on introducing it.
Ms. People-Stokes in the affirmative. Mr. Rao to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just quickly, because I'm familiar with this bill for the years I've been here, but this is the first time we've actually taken it up on the floor since I've been here. And it's odd to me we just spent, I don't know what it was, 45 minutes to an hour discussing prices of cucumbers and apples. And it's after 1 o'clock on March 31st. We have a budget deadline at midnight, and this is what we're doing. And I must have missed something. Maybe today's anti-business day or whatever, because several of these bills are just going to further hurt our businesses that are struggling. But when you look at something like this and you think about everything we're dealing with, inflation, supply chain issues, this is not a workable thing for our businesses, especially in the current environment. So I think we need to be talking about the things we can do to help these businesses. And I know there are some proposals in budget, and I hope some of those things make it. But I guess my final point would be, it's March 31st, pencils down, let's get to work passing a budget that meets the needs of New Yorkers. I vote in the negative. Thank you.
Mr. Lawler to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague rightly pointed out that the budget is due at midnight tonight. And so I guess in light of this bill, the only question I have is, will New Yorkers get a rain check from Albany on the budget? Apparently not. I vote no.
Mr. Levine, explain his vote.
Speaker, I unfortunately missed part of the beginning portion of the spirited debate on this bill. But I did hear bits and pieces about the damage to the free market capitalist system from some of my colleagues that this bill will impose. I sincerely doubt this bill drives us anywhere near socialism, communism. I think it's a simple matter. If a business advertises a sale and you go to try to take advantage of the sale and they don't have the item you want, you just get a chance to get the item. So I'm not sure this is exactly death by a thousand cuts, although some of the argument does at times tend to be a little bit slightly painful. But I think that this is a simple good thing. And on the subject matter of should we be doing something more important now with the budget due within a matter of hours, I just want to make sure that people of the state of New York will rest assured that responsible people are working on the budget. And if we don't have a budget at 1 minute before or 1 minute after midnight, we will have a budget. And I have the feeling we're going to have a very, very good budget. So with that in mind, last thing, I was going to vote against, I was thinking about voting against this bill until I heard some of the arguments against the bill, which convinced me to vote for the bill. I want to commend the sponsor, and I vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Levine in the affirmative. Are there any other votes? Mr. Goodell to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In my community, I am extraordinarily lucky because I don't have, to my knowledge, any retail outlets that routinely commit this type of fraudulent scheme. Now, I can only speak to my district, but my district, I'm really proud of the honesty and integrity of my business community. Now, maybe because it's a more rural community, so you just can't get away with that. But I am really proud of them. But I also have a couple of businesses that specialize in buying a group of products from some other retailer that may be going under. And so they'll advertise that they have a special shipment of stoves or refrigerators or some products that are at a deep discount because they bought them at a deep discount on a unique sale. And it's a great opportunity for my residents. Now, I acknowledge that this bill says that if they advertise that type of sale, they either have to list the number of products that they have for sale, or they can't have a similar sale if they don't issue a rain check for 6 months. And unfortunately, sometimes this opportunity comes up and they may get the next opportunity 3 months later. And if they list how many they had, then presumably they are not allowed to sell them in the meantime because they'd be short. So, let's rely on the honesty and integrity of businesses. We do already have statutory provisions that prevent fraud and unfair practices. Let's enforce the provisions we have and encourage stores to sell us products at the lowest price possible. Thank you, sir. I'm voting against this legislation.
Mr. Goodell in the negative. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 104, noes 41.
Bill is passed. Ms. People-Stokes.
Mr. Speaker, do you have any further housekeeping or resolutions?
No, we do not have any housekeeping or resolutions.
Could you please call on Ms. Hunter for the purposes of an announcement?
Ms. Hunter, for the purposes of an announcement.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, there'll be an immediate need for more majority conference at the conclusion of the session.
Majority conference? Immediately after session. Ms. People-Stokes?
And I move that the Assembly stand adjourned until Monday, April the 4th, time to be determined.
The House stands adjourned.